The Boston Celtics cruise into the Eastern Conference Finals with a gentleman's sweep. A 113-98 win in Game 5 of their Eastern Conference Semifinals matchup with the Cleveland Cavaliers. After Game 2's embarrassing loss for Boston, they rebounded 3 straight wins. Jason Tatum, exceptional again, playing really well. Jason Tatum playing really well.
About damn time.
Well, he does this. This is who he is in the playoffs. He's a really damn good player.
The Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris's.
But then there comes a time when the rubber meets the road and he has been unable to get over the hump. I don't know what the inabilities are and the shortcomings are. May just be like that clutch gene. But they've put a lot around him. And if they get Kristaps Porzingis back, they're 100% a championship caliber team this year.
And I think without Porzingis, they don't have a chance because that's the one thing that can allow them to bend or break the will of a team like the Nuggets with an optionality, so to speak. But you take a look at that team, and that Celtics team played well last night. Well, Wells maybe they're loaded. And watching that first half, all I could think was, I thought Barkley was right. Like, what the hell are they doing offensively? And I've hit on this before. They're so robotic about what they do, which is go 5 out, get a mismatch, attack downhill, drive and kick, drive and kick, drive and kick. And if they don't get that, they look disjointed. The thing is, though, they can hit a million shots, and they can hit threes for days, and all 5 guys on the floor can hit threes, unless Luke Korner's on the floor. But they have this ability to just compensate for their inability to play consistently within a system outside of drive and kick, 5-out spacing, that they can just overwhelm you. And that they haven't really been tested yet.
And that is also, when you think about the punches, counter punches, more counter punches that the Denver Nuggets can throw at a team. It's what we've seen not just in last year's playoff run, what we've seen in this year's playoff run. They play so many different variations of who they are over the course of a series and a playoff season. It's incredible to watch the Denver Nuggets because they seemingly find an answer no matter what it is and how bad it can look for a couple of games in a playoff series.
I mean, Jokic is the answer, but it answers so many different questions. And that's the thing is about Tatum is, can he be that guy? On the flip side of all this, you've got the
can. I hope he can.
You want the Celtics to be good?
Yeah. I don't mind the Celtics.
I just don't like them.
Oh, yeah. I have no issues with Celtics.
I do. Celtics and Lakers. I want new blood. Always.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. They're just so far away. It's like, whatever. Lakers, go to hell.
Yeah, that's fair. But you take a look at this Celtics team now. They've played a gimpy Miami team, a gimpy Cleveland team, and they're probably going to play what ends up being a gimpy either New York team or Indiana team.
Whichever one comes out. Which is a huge advantage when you're heading into the NBA Finals.
It's not a bad place to be. It's unfortunate, and I'm not going full Boston sports media in the sense of I'm going to discredit their run, but it's like because they are the better team. They didn't need luck to get here, but I would have liked to see Donovan Mitchell and Sherrod Allen on the floor.
Sure, would have been nice, but at the same time, injury luck is a huge role in any championship team.
You play who's in front of you,
yep.
100%. But I wonder if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals, and that lack of really being tested does cause an issue for them game 1, game 2 to make radical adjustments or to not buckle under the pressure because they really haven't been pressured yet.
Well, they haven't been pressured, but the Cavaliers have, and immediately in the wake of that loss and elimination,
my God,
there were 3 articles that came out that was just like, holy smokes, what is going on in Cleveland? Coach probably going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Mitchell going to request or either leave in free agency or sign an extension, demand a trade.
Yeah.
Darius Garland reportedly going to be wanting to request a trade. What is going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
So they've been beat up this year, injury-wise, and it's not it's not an excuse, but they somehow found a way to just kind of struggle through it. The Mitchell Garland thing did not work. It was very reminiscent of Dame and CJ. Both good players, one clearly better than the other, but stylistically it became your turn, my turn, and they don't hate each other. It's just that in order for them to be great, they both need the ball. Like CJ McCollum was a great off-ball scorer, but that wasn't where he excelled. He excelled at hezzy tween, get to the mid-range pull-up. Like CJ's probably one of the 5 best mid-range shooters of the past decade.
And pound the ball into the ground until he finds
until he got his
seam.
spot. Yep. Yeah, and then he shot damn near 50% from there. But when there's 2 of those guys on the team, you just kind of go, okay.
It's the stupidest cliche in sports because we've seen it work several times, especially in the big 3 era, if you want to call it. There's only one ball to go around.
Yeah, but somebody has to sacrifice.
It really does. It becomes a problem.
Yeah, because Chris Bosh went from being a 25-12 guy to being 16-9 and playing mostly defense with Miami Heat. And there was like this, will he, won't he, like pecking order between Dwayne Wade and LeBron, and then it was LeBron's team. Like there was a come to God moment where it was, nah, look, D Wade, I know it was you. It's not going to be you. It's going to be Braun's team. You are the second chair. And with Garland and Mitchell, it's not a emotional problem. It's not like they dislike each other. I haven't heard anything to that extent at all. But they have 2 different problems. Garland, Mitchell both need the ball. Mobley, Allen probably both need to play center, and they probably both need a different kind of player on the floor. And I like Jared Allen. He's a very good player. Evan Mobley's better. So
he was great last night too.
Mobley was incredible last night. What was it 33, 7, and 4 on 15 of 24?
Getting buckets.
Yeah. He just absolutely dominated on the inside. He did what he wanted to do and what he should have been doing really for the last couple months.
And that should terrify Boston fans that a minus offensive player in Evan Mobley
just cooked you.
Is feasting on that end of the floor because of who's going to be looming if you get to the NBA Finals. Yes. It doesn't matter who it is, right? Take your pick of teams remaining in the West, whether it's Denver, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, or Dallas too, but you're gonna get cooked
if PJ Washington's out there frying you.
That ain't good, boss.
But no, you take a look at this Cleveland team, and this feeds into already what I've been saying for months. The disruption that is coming this summer is going to be very large. How many of these trades actually happen? I don't know. All I know is that there's probably a dozen all-star, previous all-star, or about to be all-star, or in-prime players that are very seriously being shopped right now or are frustrated with where they are.
Now, you mentioned Dame and CJ, and this is something that I've grappled with for a while because is there – one thing I always appreciated about Dame and CJ is no matter what, they tried to make it work.
Yeah.
Right? And they got along very well. They said for years and years, we're like brothers. We're really good friends. We're going to try to make this work, hell-bent on making it work and thriving. But it was almost to the detriment of the organization because here we are 2 years into this experiment in Cleveland where last year it was Cleveland's ahead of schedule. Cleveland is ahead of schedule. This year, all of a sudden, they start going boom, 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 things falling into place. And there is an awareness, though, from Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Now, their awareness is what every fan base hates to see. And, all right, they're going to start demanding trades out, or one of us has got to go. And as much as I appreciated the Dame and CJ wanting to make it work, wanting to be here in Portland, wanting to win in Portland, there was also it would have made it easier for this team to separate from one of them, CJ. It would have made this organization easier to separate from CJ had one of them just said, no,
this isn't working.
This isn't working. We've got to make a move because we cannot reach the pinnacle with both of us playing this way.
And I don't think it's necessarily like a thing that they can just kind of figure out. They're two very different players, but they're both. I look at Garland like a little bit like I look at Dame stylistically, but I think he ends up being more supercharged Mike Conley.
Yes, supercharged offensively, Mike
Yes.
Conley, where he can be a
organizer, but
organizer
he
and not
can get off the ball a little bit.
and not a liability
Yes.
defensively.
Now,
but
Mike was a plus in his prime.
Yeah. But you take that down a peg
Yeah.
from Mike Conley, and you take
The offense
up a peg
yes.
on the offensive end. But we saw in this series, he can be a scorer as well. This is really interesting that we're kind of talking about this because Kyrie Irving offensively, he has been fantastic for the Mavs. He has not scored.
No,
he's not scoring.
No,
he is
they're getting him off the ball, and he's working as a playmaker.
But it is kind of like what Garland has done and kind of forced to do is change between those gears. Is there any doubt in your mind that Kyrie Irving could go off for 40 points in a game? No, none whatsoever. Like Garland isn't there, but the reins have been pulled so far back on him offensively that we still don't quite know where that ceiling is with Darius Garland yet.
And the thing about how this is all shaping up is that I don't think there's anyone safe on that roster. Now, I've heard for a while that Bickerstaff is probably going to get fired, regardless of what happened this season. I should say this season, regardless of what happened basically since February.
Isn't that crazy? Like guys just get the label of sacrificial lamb coach.
It's going to happen. Yeah, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I don't know if I don't think it's a lost the locker room entirely situation, but it's just like, okay, this is a bit of a mess.
He may fall into the Doug Gottlieb line. New head coach, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, Doug Gottlieb. Doug Gottlieb. He always said, a coach in the NBA, in order to get the locker room, you've got to have a ring. But you can't win a ring unless you have the locker room, right? It's like it's a really hard place to be at. And Bickerstaff is kind of like the poster boy of that, like right where in Houston there was a no-win situation there.
And he's got family blood, which in the ties and being a lifetime NBA like all those things feed into that.
And he's a good coach. And all of these guys in the NBA are good coach, but how do you get that locker room in pulling in the same direction? I think that's one of the most impressive things that Michael Malone did in Denver.
And it took years.
He
was going to get fired that year.
Yep.
Going into that playoffs, if they didn't get it done, he was going to get canned. Which is it's hilarious.
Remember salty Michael Malone?
Take that L on the way out.
That was after the Memphis series where it was all like the pressure was mounting.
The noise
was just coming down on him like an avalanche, and then all of a sudden takes 1 year and you pop.
And then there you go, and that changes your entire career. But what's interesting about this Cleveland team is it's not just Donovan, it's not just Garland, it's not just Bickerstaff. There's a world where literally the entire roster is up for debate. And which two guys they go with, which guard and which big.
Wow.
Is it Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen? Is it Darius Garland and Evan Mobley? Is it some like that? Those are the decisions that they're going to have to make. And with what's happening kind of behind the scenes and which stars are trying to angle for where, I think you're going to see a massive, massive, massive domino effect over the next 6 weeks.
Okay, let's get to that. What do these dominoes look like? This should surprise nobody. Donovan Mitchell to Miami is already heating up because Miami, right? But overhaul active teams, and really we could tie this back to the Portland Trailblazers who have just as many guys that could be on the move this year as well.